Hello everyone, Professor Thompson here. It is October 23rd and just a few kind of updates, reminders, announcements to make you aware of in our 16-week NET course. The first thing that I would mention is that grades are 100% up to date and current. So if you have not gotten an alert or have not checked those out recently, I would go in and check those out. I was updating those last night. I was updating those again this morning, and everything should be current and up to date. That also includes some feedback from presentation number 1. So I emailed the rubric forms back to everybody this morning and has comments, feedback, scores for the first presentation. So read those comments, get that feedback, and if you have questions about any of that feedback, I'm more than happy to provide some. But a couple things that I want to say about those grades. First of all, when you submit your outline into Blackboard, where it's just supposed to be submitted into the link, by submitting it, I'm giving you credit for submission in that column of the grade book. And then as part of the actual presentation grade, I'm scoring the outline out by the criteria that's outlined in the assignment sheet. So you essentially get some points or some credit for your outline in 2 different areas. One is making sure that you have it in on time and that you've got it there for me to have to help follow or be a roadmap for your speech. And then the other one is, do you have the content that was on the assignment sheet that I was looking for? So one piece of advice is to make sure on that assignment sheet that you're looking at that. Usually it's like page 2 or page 3 where it will say outline and it will tell you exactly what I'm looking for on your outline. So make sure you have all that. The next thing about your grades is that rubrics can be kind of tricky in the sense that it asks me to evaluate every single element of your composition. And if you are not reading, for instance, Chapter 10 closely, Chapter 10 lays out the formats for informative speaking. Well, if you're not reading that closely and then applying that into your work, into your next speech, well, then that kind of impacts your score on the rubric. So making sure that you're incorporating clear transitions, these bridging statements, full sentences, making sure that you have clear previews, articulating specifically what your body points will be, having clear summaries or reviews of your body points, not using your attention-getting strategy at the very beginning. All of these kinds of things are elements that were discussed, but sometimes for some of you were not applied into the actual speech. So you want to make sure that you're looking at Chapter 10. You want to make sure you're looking at the requirement sheet and that you're including every compositional element. When you're in a class like this at the academic college level, sometimes it's about understanding the formula that's being expected of you. You can be charismatic, you can have personality, but if you don't have the content, that becomes a problem. And so that's one of the areas that many of you kind of got deducted on. I think the other major thing that I noticed based on this class is that there was a general disregard from some of you on either the syllabus policies or the state of Illinois criteria. I must reinforce that the state of Illinois criteria are the state of Illinois criteria. I am simply enforcing that, and if you are making a choice to submit more than one video, if you are making a choice to present in your house as opposed to a public venue, if you are making a choice to edit your video, if you're making a choice not to show your audience and I cannot verify how many people are watching your speech, these are factors that lead to automatic 0 scores. And I talked about this in the syllabus, and at this point I can't do much for you. At the end of the day, it falls on every student's shoulders to review their video before they submit it. And when you record a video, you can go back and say, did I meet the requirements for submission? Did I follow the directions? And if you didn't follow the directions and you don't meet the criteria, you probably don't want to load that into the system. So again, some of you got scores that you weren't very happy with, and there's really not a lot that I can do because I'm not willing to compromise the accreditation of a course and the integrity of the course because you didn't show your audience or because you chose to give it in your house and not follow those directions. So keep that in mind moving forward, and you need to adjust. I put those comments down. I still evaluated your presentations, and you will need to do better on the next speech. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you have to do, is don't make the same mistake again on speech 2. Okay, so that's about grades and about the presentations. Quickly, a couple comments about PowerPoints and visual aids. Many of you used PowerPoint on the last presentation. Some of you had way too much text. Your PowerPoint message should never be on your PowerPoint slides. So you shouldn't have full sentences that you then read out to your audience. That's not an effective visual aid. You want to make sure that you are enhancing and extending a verbal message. You are not having your PowerPoint be your message, and that was a big mistake for some people. In fact, usually PowerPoint you should be using less text and more visual representation to accent what you have to say. So that's something to think about. In the next speech, there will be no visual component. There will be no PowerPoints, no videos. It's just music. So I'm looking forward to the fact that we won't have any of those particular issues. Although it is worth noting that you will have an opportunity, and some of you may use PowerPoint for the final speech, so I wouldn't want you to make that mistake on the final presentation. All right. I would also reference, finally, as I close out, make sure that you're going back, for some of you, and reviewing the oral source citation handout. You need to make sure that you are saying out loud in your speech the source where you got your material and a date at which it was published. If there is no publication date, you can use the date that you, as a researcher, last access to that information. Okay, we are a little bit over a week away from the second presentation. I would highly recommend, and my advice to all of you is record that early. Do not wait until the last minute. If you have technical difficulties, you want to make sure that you allow yourself enough time to navigate and take care of those technical problems so that your speech is loaded on time. Good luck to you. Keep working hard. Many of you have all of Unit 2 completed except for the speech. So if that is where you're at, get that speech done, get that completed, get that loaded in, and start working on unit number 3.